Well, folks, another day, another investigation into potential violations by the Donald Trump administration, this time involving the military's frequent use of Donald Trump's resorts as their little overnight trips. On Friday, Politico reported on an instance back, I believe it was in March, where you had a military plane full of Air National Guard Reserve troops headed back from the Middle East over to the United States, but they needed to make a stop for the night. So they stop over in Scotland, and rather than staying at a, regular hotel somewhere near the airport, no. They decided at that point, let's just bus on over to Donald Trump's golf resort around here, the same one Mike Pence recently stayed at. It's a little bit more expensive, but according to the military, it was totally still within their budget. But if you ask the troops who had to go stay there, it 100% was not still in their budget. Well, then yesterday, on Sunday, Politico found out a little bit more information. And turns out this instance back in March was not the only time. In fact, this has happened frequently. So frequently, in fact, that the number of times it has happened adds up into the hundreds. And each time when you have a dozen military members stay at a Trump property, maybe a couple dozen, that's all money that flows right back into the President of the United States pockets, and it's all money that came out of our pockets in the form of tax dollars going to the U.S. government. So here, yet again, we have an instance where taxpayer money is going into Donald Trump's businesses and then immediately back into his pocket. The military has now announced that they are investigating this. They want to get to the bottom of this. They want to find out why it happened. But again, the military is not going to find any wrongdoing here because they've already admitted, we know it was still within the budget, but just because we can, does that mean we should? I'm actually quoting one of the leaders of the U.S. military on that. We know we can, but the question is, should we? Obviously, we don't want to misuse taxpayer dollars. Yeah, because if the military is known for anything, it's not misusing taxpayer dollars. But nonetheless, they've already concluded that no, it's totally okay to do this. These people are in budget. But again, go ahead and ask the troops. Because they said, it actually cost so much money, it didn't leave us anything left for food. We couldn't eat because the hotel was so expensive and so over budget. Oh, and it gets worse, folks. See, there's this little airport over there in Scotland, Prestwick. A little civil airport. But really, if you don't fly into Prestwick, you cannot get to Donald Trump's golf resort over there. And Prestwick has been failing. They've been going under. Until, of course, Donald Trump became president of the United States, and suddenly a lot of military flights were rerouted to land at Prestwick. For refueling, we're spending millions upon millions of dollars at this tiny little airport that serves as the main artery to get to Donald Trump's golf resort. If that airport were to go under, Donald Trump's golf resort would likely be right behind it. And so here's what happened. From 2015 to 2019, Air Mobility Command aircraft stopped at the civil airport 936 times. Of those, crews stayed overnight in the area 659 times. Now, it started with 95 stops in 2015, and then we had 259 stops just so far in 2019. Not to mention 257 in 2018, 180 in 2017, and 145 in 2016. The military is trying to curry favor with Donald Trump. That is what this is about. This is about them putting more money back in his pocket. I don't know if you're going to find that Donald Trump has directed them to do this, but I do know that he is personally benefiting from it, and that's the problem. This man didn't divest from his companies. And Republicans are still out there telling us, but he's not taking a salary. Dan Bongino on Fox News this past weekend told Maria Bartiromo, but he's not taking a salary, and they think people staying a couple nights at his hotels are putting money in his pocket. Dan, how the hell do you think hotels make money? people staying overnight. That is legit how they make money, you moron. And it's a hell of a lot more than $400,000. Now, I would have told you this on Twitter, but for some reason, before I ever uttered your name once in my life, you decided to block me. I guess you thought I was a preemptive threat, even though I had never mentioned you, spoken to you, responded to you, or added you. But sure, go ahead, Dan. Big tough guy, right? But here's the problem, folks. This is a real issue. Donald Trump is misusing and abusing our military, and it's putting more money back in his pockets. And I'm glad that the military is going to investigate this. I'm disappointed that we already know that they're not going to come to the conclusion that anything incorrect was ever done. But I'm also glad the Democrats in the House of Representatives have decided to expedite the impeachment process, and this is one of the issues they will be looking at. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.